If you're over 60 and take vitamins every day, this could be the most important video you watch this year. Because 5 common vitamins, yes, the ones millions of seniors trust, could silently raise your risk of a stroke while you sleep. As a brain doctor, I was shocked when I saw what these vitamins can do to your brain overnight. If you're over 60, I want you to imagine something. You go to bed feeling just fine. Maybe you've brushed your teeth, taken your evening pills, turned off the lights, and pulled the covers up over your shoulders. Everything feels normal, calm even. But by morning, something is wrong. You wake up, and suddenly, your words won't come out right. One arm feels heavy. You try to stand, but your balance is gone. You know something's not right, but you can't quite name it. I've seen that moment. I've looked into the eyes of patients and families trying to understand how things could go from peaceful to life-altering in a single night. And too often, the cause isn't what you'd expect. It's not smoking. It's not junk food. It's not a sedentary lifestyle. It's the vitamins they thought were helping them. Yes, vitamins. That might sound unbelievable. But I've seen it with my own patients, smart, health-conscious people who were doing what they thought was right. People who read labels, who take their supplements faithfully every day, who want to stay sharp, mobile, and independent. People just like you. That's why this conversation matters. Because the same vitamins we trust, especially in high doses or taken at the wrong time, can quietly tip the balance in our bodies. And the effects? They don't come with flashing lights, no warning signs, just silence until something breaks. So today, I want to walk with you gently, honestly, through 5 vitamins that I've seen raise the risk of stroke in older adults. Not to scare you, but to give you what too few people offer these days, the full picture. And along the way, I'll share the stories of real people. People whose lives were changed in ways they never saw coming. Maybe in their story, you'll see a piece of your own. Because this isn't just about science or statistics, it's about awareness. It's about listening to your body, and it's about protecting the one thing we too often take for granted: a healthy brain. Let's begin. 1. Vitamin E. I want to begin with a vitamin that most people still think of as a friend: vitamin E. It sounds harmless, doesn't it? Vitamin E shows up on all the healthy aging lists. It's praised for being an antioxidant, for helping with skin, eyes, and even immune health. And for a while, I believed that too, like many doctors once did. But then I started to notice something. I remember a patient, let's call him Harold. He was 72, retired, lived a quiet life, loved woodworking and classical music. He was careful with his diet, took walks every morning, never smoked, and every day he took a capsule of vitamin E. "Doctor, it's good for my heart, right?" he'd ask, smiling. And for a while, I nodded. But then Harold had a stroke. Not a massive one, thankfully, but it affected his speech and his memory. And what haunted me was this: all his risk factors were low. His blood pressure was fine. His cholesterol was managed. He wasn't overweight. So what happened? That question sent me back into the research. And what I found surprised even me. Studies from the early 2000s began to show that high doses of vitamin E, especially over 400 IU per day, could increase the risk of hemorrhagic stroke. That's the kind of stroke where a blood vessel bursts and bleeds into the brain. The exact opposite of what we thought vitamin E was protecting us from. One meta-analysis, published in BMJ, even found an increased stroke risk of 22% in people taking high-dose vitamin E supplements long-term. Now let me be clear, the vitamin itself isn't poison. It's the dose and how it's used. See, vitamin E is fat-soluble. That means it stores in your body, not like vitamin C that you pee out if you take too much. Over time, those high doses can affect platelet function, your blood's ability to clot. That may be helpful in some contexts, but it also increases the risk of internal bleeding. So for older adults, especially those already on blood thinners, aspirin, or have fragile vessels, this gentle heart vitamin could be quietly tipping the balance toward danger. Have you ever checked how much vitamin E is in your supplement? Not just the multivitamin, but the extra ones you might be taking for skin, eyes, or energy? Most people don't. And that's the point. We tend to assume that if something is natural or essential, then more must be better. But the body doesn't work that way. There's a difference between need and excess, and in medicine, that line is thinner than most people realize. My advice? If you're over 60 and taking vitamin E every day, especially in separate capsule form, ask your doctor to review your dose. It might be helping, or it might be hiding a risk you never knew was there. Let's move on to the second vitamin, and this one might shock you even more. Vitamin B6. Let's talk about a vitamin that often flies under the radar. Vitamin B6. Most people don't think twice about it. They see it listed on their multivitamin label, maybe in their energy drinks or memory support blends, and assume it's just another harmless helper. But I want to tell you about something that changed how I view this vitamin forever. There was a woman, Margaret, who came into my clinic a few years ago. She was 68, recently retired, full of life. Loved gardening, loved jazz, and had a laugh that could fill the room. But she started noticing something odd. At first, it was just tingling in her feet. Then it spread to her hands. Soon, she was having trouble buttoning her blouse. Her grip felt weak, like something was slipping away from her. Her blood sugar was normal. No signs of diabetes, no autoimmune markers. We ran tests, scans, checked circulation. Everything looked fine. But then we checked her vitamin levels. Her vitamin B6 was nearly 5 times the upper limit. You see, B6 is water-soluble, so most people assume it just washes out. But in high doses, especially over time, it doesn't. It can build up in nerve tissue, leading to something called peripheral neuropathy, a painful, sometimes irreversible condition where nerves are damaged. Now here's the twist. Nerve damage from too much B6 doesn't just stop at the fingers or toes. It affects sensory coordination, balance, and even reflexes. And in older adults, especially those with minor circulation or vascular issues, that loss of control can become a hidden trigger for falls, head trauma, or worse, stroke. Because stroke isn't always just about a clot or a bleed. Sometimes it's about a body that no longer knows how to respond in time. A delayed reaction, a misstep, a stumble that hits the head in just the wrong place. And B6? The very thing people take to boost energy and brain health, in high doses, especially over 100 milligrams per day, can quietly sabotage the nerves that keep you standing, walking, or even sensing danger. Margaret had been taking a natural energy booster supplement she bought online. It promised focus, memory, energy. It had over 300 milligrams of B6 per serving. She had no idea. The labels didn't warn her. No one did. And that's what keeps me up at night. We live in a world where supplements feel safer than pills, where the word vitamin makes us drop our guard. But the truth is, natural doesn't mean harmless. And even water-soluble doesn't mean risk-free. So if you're taking a supplement for energy, memory, or metabolism, especially if you take more than one, please look at the B6 content. The safe upper daily limit is 100 milligrams, and for most people over 60, even that might be too much if taken long-term. Talk to your doctor. Ask for a blood test if you're feeling tingling, numbness, or weakness. Because it might not be aging, it might be something you can change today. And now, let's move on to another surprising name on this list. One that's often recommended for bones, but could quietly be hurting your brain instead. 3. Vitamin A. Let me tell you a story. It begins with a man named Walter. He was 72, a retired engineer, and proud of how well he had maintained his health. Every morning, he took a handful of supplements with his oatmeal. He believed in prevention. He believed in staying sharp. But one morning, he came into the clinic with something that scared him. His vision had become blurry. His balance was off. He felt dizzy when standing, and worse, he had fainted while walking up the stairs. His blood pressure was low. But more than that, he looked pale, tired, and his hands trembled when he reached for his water bottle. We ran tests, thinking it could be anemia or perhaps low blood sugar. But what surprised us most wasn't what he was lacking. It was what he had too much of. Walter's blood work revealed dangerously high levels of vitamin A. You might think of vitamin A as the eye vitamin. It's true it helps with vision, supports immune function, and even skin health. It's found in foods like carrots, sweet potatoes, and leafy greens. But here's the part most people don't know. There are two kinds of vitamin A. One is beta-carotene, found in plants. Your body converts it as needed. The other is preformed vitamin A, or retinol, found in animal sources and supplements. And it's this form that can build up in your body, especially the liver, over time. Unlike water-soluble vitamins, vitamin A is fat-soluble. That means it doesn't flush out in your urine. It stays, it accumulates, and at high enough doses, it becomes toxic. In older adults, too much vitamin A can affect the central nervous system, causing symptoms like dizziness, blurred vision, nausea, and confusion. It can thin your bones, raise the risk of fractures, and even increase pressure inside your skull, a condition that mimics brain tumors. Now let's connect this to stroke. High vitamin A toxicity doesn't directly cause a clot or a bleed, but it can weaken your blood vessels, especially the tiny capillaries in your brain and eyes. It can also affect how your brain regulates balance and blood pressure. That means you're more prone to fainting, falling, and injuring your head. And in an older adult, a fall that wouldn't have mattered at 40 can lead to a brain hemorrhage at 70. Walter had been taking a high-dose fish liver oil supplement daily for 8 years. It had over 10,000 IU of retinol per serving. He had no idea that was above the upper safe limit, especially for someone his age. And here's another danger. Some multivitamins still include retinol, not beta-carotene. The label may just say vitamin A, but it matters which kind, because one is safe in high amounts, and the other, retinol, can be silently harmful if taken long-term. Walter recovered slowly. He stopped the supplement, adjusted his diet, and his balance returned over several weeks. But the lesson stayed with him and with me. If you're over 60 and taking vitamin A supplements, or if you eat liver frequently or use products like cod liver oil, please be cautious. Look at the label. Check if it says retinol or preformed vitamin A. The recommended daily amount for older adults is around 2,300 IU for women and 3,000 IU for men, and that includes all sources, food, and supplements. You can get plenty from your diet alone, especially if you eat colorful vegetables. Your body knows how to handle beta-carotene. It only converts what it needs. But when you give it direct retinol every day, it has nowhere to go but into your fat and your organs. Vitamin A is essential, but too much of it can make your body fragile in ways that don't show up until it's too late. Ask your doctor. Read your labels. And remember, more isn't always better, especially when your brain is at stake. Now let's shift our focus from the eyes to the bones, because there's another vitamin that older adults are told to take almost every day, especially to prevent fractures. But when it's taken without balance or proper guidance, it might silently affect far more than your skeleton. 4. Vitamin D. Let's talk about vitamin D. People call it the sunshine vitamin, and that nickname makes it feel warm, harmless, almost comforting. Doctors recommend it, pharmacies promote it, and friends often tell each other, "You need more vitamin D." Especially as we age and spend less time outdoors, it's become a go-to supplement. But here's the part that doesn't get said out loud. Vitamin D is not just about sunshine and smiles. It's a hormone-like compound that affects nearly every organ system in your body. It influences how calcium moves through your bloodstream, how your bones maintain strength, and how your blood vessels behave under pressure. I remember a patient, Gloria, who was 67. Sweet woman, always smiling. She told me she had started taking high-dose vitamin D because she read online it helps prevent fractures. She had never done a blood test to check her levels. She just assumed more was better. What Gloria didn't know was that her blood calcium had quietly climbed to dangerous levels. Why? Because vitamin D increases calcium absorption from your food, and when there's too much, it doesn't just strengthen your bones. That excess calcium can settle into your arteries, making them stiffer and narrower over time. And stiff arteries are one of the strongest predictors of stroke. When your arteries lose flexibility, they can't handle changes in blood pressure. That leads to more pressure on your heart and your brain. Imagine trying to water your garden with a hard plastic hose that can't bend. Eventually, it cracks. That's what happened to Gloria. One morning, she woke up feeling dizzy. Her blood pressure was unusually high. A few hours later, she was in the hospital with a mini stroke. Her vitamin D blood level, more than double the recommended range. I'm not saying vitamin D is bad, it's not. In fact, having too little is a real risk for older adults. Low vitamin D is linked to muscle weakness, poor immunity, even depression. But that doesn't mean more is always better. The line between helpful and harmful is thinner than most people realize. And what makes it tricky is that the symptoms of too much vitamin D are vague. Fatigue, nausea, a bit of confusion. It doesn't scream vitamin toxicity. It whispers. It creeps up. By the time you feel something is wrong, your blood vessels may already be suffering. I often ask my patients, when was the last time you checked your vitamin D level? Some say never. Others don't even know it can be tested. If that's you, I understand. No one teaches us this stuff unless we're already sick. But that's the point of these conversations, to help you take action before things go wrong. So if you're over 60 and taking vitamin D supplements, especially more than 1,000 or 2,000 IU per day, ask your doctor to check your blood level. Make sure you're in the safe zone. Don't go by guesswork or social media advice. You might think, I'm just taking vitamins. What harm can it do? Well, here's a truth I've learned from decades in medicine. Natural does not always mean safe. And something as simple as a sunshine pill can, over time, cloud your brain's future. In the next section, we'll talk about a vitamin that's often praised for boosting energy and improving cholesterol. But beneath its glowing reputation lies a lesser-known danger, especially for older adults dealing with blood pressure, liver health, or certain medications. Let's take a closer look at vitamin B3, also known as niacin. 5. Niacin, vitamin B3. Let me take you into a story that still sits with me every time someone asks about vitamins and heart health. It's about niacin, also known as vitamin B3. On paper, it sounds like a good idea. Niacin helps lower cholesterol, supports brain function, and even improves circulation. Doctors used to prescribe high doses of it to manage heart disease before statins became more common. But here's what most people don't hear. High-dose niacin, especially the kind you buy over the counter or online, can be a double-edged sword for people over 60. There was a man named Harold. He was 74, independent, proud, and wanted to do everything he could to avoid going on prescription drugs. So he found a natural cholesterol support supplement on the internet, one with over 1,000 milligrams of niacin per serving. He took it every day, faithfully, for nearly a year. At first, he felt great. His energy was up. His skin flushed, which he thought meant it was working. But over time, things changed. He started having pounding headaches in the morning. His blood pressure would suddenly spike and drop again. He became dizzy, once falling in the bathroom. Eventually, Harold ended up in the ER. What the scans showed was a small, silent stroke, one that didn't leave major damage, but scared him deeply. When we reviewed everything he was taking, the high-dose niacin stood out. You see, niacin in large doses causes vasodilation. It expands blood vessels. In older adults, that sudden drop in vascular resistance can create instability in blood pressure. It can increase the risk of hemorrhagic stroke, especially in those who already have fragile vessels or are on other medications that thin the blood. It can also interfere with how blood clotting factors are regulated in the body. That's not just theory. There are real case reports of stroke risk going up in people who combine niacin with aspirin or blood pressure meds, or who have underlying vascular conditions they don't even know about yet. The truth is, most people think of vitamins as harmless, but the body doesn't treat niacin like a candy. It processes it through the liver, and the liver, after a certain age, becomes less forgiving of high doses. Harold was lucky. He recovered. But he told me afterward that no one had ever warned him that a vitamin something sold at every grocery store could mess with his brain, his blood vessels, and almost his future. So, if you're over 60 and taking niacin supplements, especially anything labeled flush-free, extended release, or high potency, please stop and think. Talk to your doctor. Get your liver enzymes checked. Your heart matters, but so does your brain. And in our attempt to be healthy, sometimes we end up stepping into danger disguised as wellness. So now we've talked about 5 vitamins, 5 tiny substances that can shape the fate of your brain and blood vessels, not because they're evil, but because they're powerful. The truth is, supplements are not candy. They are not harmless. And just because something is over the counter does not mean it's safe for everyone, especially not for those of us with aging bodies, slower metabolism, and more medications in the mix. I hope what we've shared today makes you feel more informed, not more afraid. You don't have to stop everything, but you do have to check, to ask, to understand. Your brain has carried you through decades of life, through laughter, sorrow, hard work, and love. It deserves protection. It deserves clarity. And sometimes, that clarity starts with something as small as reading a label or asking your doctor one simple question. Do I still need this? That question could save your memory, your independence, even your life. Thank you for being here and for taking your health, your future into your own hands. We'll meet again in the next video. Until then, stay wise, stay curious, and most of all, stay well. Recommended solution: prioritize whole foods. Let me offer you a different path. one that's been around far longer than supplements, a path rooted in real food. There's something powerful about giving your body what it actually recognizes. Not a pill, not a capsule, but whole, honest food. I remember a patient of mine, Margaret. She's 73, retired school teacher, always brought me cookies on checkup days. A few months ago, she came to me with concerns, dizziness in the mornings, foggy thinking, and rising blood pressure. She was taking 5 different supplements, including a multivitamin she had seen recommended on television. We decided to take a break from the pills, and instead, we redesigned her mornings. Her breakfast became her medicine. She started the day with 1 simple hard-boiled egg for protein and choline, half an avocado for healthy fats and B vitamins, a slice of whole grain toast for steady energy, a small handful of blueberries rich in antioxidants, and warm water with lemon to support digestion and hydration. That's it. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just a meal rooted in nourishment, not marketing. And the results? Within just a few weeks, her blood pressure stabilized, the dizziness faded, her mind felt sharper. She even said she started remembering where she put her glasses again. Now, of course, this doesn't mean every problem is solved by breakfast. But what it does show is that food, real food, still matters. Sometimes more than we give it credit for. If you're taking multiple supplements each day, pause and ask yourself, could I get some of these nutrients from what I eat? Could I simplify? Could I make my plate my medicine? Because there's something profoundly healing about feeding your body what it understands. And that leads us to one final thought. After the age of 60, your body doesn't process vitamins the same way it used to. Digestion slows. Kidney and liver function shift. Medications interact in ways we often don't see coming. So even vitamins, the ones that once helped, can become burdens when taken in the wrong dose, at the wrong time, or combined with the wrong medication. But I want to be clear. This is not about fear. It's about understanding. It's about listening to your body with a gentler ear, paying attention to the small things, fatigue that lingers, a headache that won't leave, a feeling of something's not right. Because sometimes silence is the body's loudest warning. And most importantly, talk to someone who knows your health. Ask your doctor. Ask your pharmacist. Don't just assume that because it's natural, it's harmless. Your health is not built on how many pills you take, but on how well you know yourself. So take a moment today. Look at your supplements. Rethink what you really need. And choose to trust the wisdom of your body, not the fear of missing out. You've made it this far with strength and grace. Keep going with clarity, and I'll be right here with you. Thank you for being here, and for taking your health, your future into your own hands. That alone puts you ahead of the curve. If today's message stirred something in you, don't let it end here. Take one small action, check your supplement labels, share this video with someone you care about, or leave a comment telling us your experience. It could be the spark that helps someone else avoid a mistake they didn't even know they were making. We're building a community here, a place where older adults and their families can learn, grow, and make wiser choices together. So if this video helped you, subscribe. Hit that bell so you never miss the next life-changing tip. And most of all, share it forward, because health isn't just personal, it's something we protect together. We'll meet again in the next video. Until then, stay wise, stay curious, and most of all, stay well. Because every moment still matters.